So I continue with a short overview about the three different case study regions. We had three different case studies, one in Germany, the Spreewald, the Biosphere Reserve Spreewald, one in the Netherlands, the Berg and Dal region, and the third one in Austria, the Nature Park Jauerling-Wachau. In terms of area, Spreewald was the biggest region with about 500 square kilometers, and Berg and Dal was the smallest region. In terms of population density, the highest population density was in the Netherlands, and Spreewald and Jauerling-Wachau both with less people. In terms of administrative units, we like the Biosphere Reserve in Spreewald, it's stretched over 3 counties and 17 municipalities, either completely or in part. Then in the Netherlands, it was 1 municipality which cut across 3 different protection areas. And in Jauerling-Wachau, it was 7 different municipalities which were either completely or in partly located within the nature park. Then in case of Spreewald and Jauerling-Wachau, all like 100% of the area was designated as a protection area, and in Berg and Dal was 14%. And in terms of land use, in the Spreewald region, it was about 1/3 each for forest, arborland, and grassland. Then in Berg and Dal, grassland was way more important, was 35%. And in Jauerling-Wachau, it was very different. The land use pattern changed with each municipality, but altogether forests were way more important. And every region had a very specific type of land use. For example, in Spreewald, they grow vegetables, a lot of gherkins there. Then in Berg and Dal, they have vineyards, so they produce wine. And in Jauerling-Wachau, one special thing is that they produce Christmas trees in this region. In terms of the topography, Berg and Dal and Spreewald, they are very flat, so very low difference in altitude, which is in contrast to the nature park Jauerling-Wachau, where you have like a mountains region and a valley. So here you have very low areas, and you have areas up in the mountains. But what all regions have in common, that they are influenced by a river. So in the German case, it's the river Spree, and the whole region is really, there are a lot of channels, it's a lot of waterways crisscrossing through the area because it's a delta of the delta region of this river Spree. In the Dutch region, you have the river Waal up here, and it's also it's influencing the whole landscape. And then finally in Austria, you have the Danube River, which goes down here in the valley. This slide shows again the land use, so you can see the land use pattern. And in Spreewald, you can see that it's really this 1/3 each for arable land, like the dark brown areas, and the meadows, 1/3 for the meadows, and 1/3 for forests, like the greenish areas. You also can see that in the Dutch region, the meadows are more important, like there's way more grassland. And also in the Austrian region, you see that forest is prevailing, and we have all this greenish areas. And what makes the different regions different from each other is land use intensity, or the challenge related to land use intensity. While in the Spreewald region, like the challenge is to really keep everything as it is in terms of land use and preserve all the valuable landscape components that are part of the landscape right now, and which are partly in traditional management. So they really want to keep the current level of land use intensity. In the Berg and Dal region, they have been it's a very intensively managed region, but they try to give more area back to nature. So they try to put some green and blue infrastructure back in the landscape. So the challenge is here to really extensify the landscape. While in the Austrian region, they are very extensive. And so like a lot of farmers fight really to survive with their farms. So what the challenge is here is to allow a little bit of intensification without sacrificing too much for nature conservation. So these are challenges, although we only have 3 different case study areas, I think you can find in other European regions as well. And now we are going to introduce the different governance approaches, and I think Lenny goes first with the one from the Berg and Dal region.